All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:02. There are no minutes to approve. We'll have to pick those up at the next meeting for July 6th and July 14th.
We had minutes, but then I started watching the video and I realized that...
he missed half of it, yeah.
And I should just boot it out of here.
You tried really hard. Anyway, we will pick those up at the next meeting. Additions and deletions to the agenda, we need to add a discussion about paving bids. I'm assuming we want to do that under the highway.
Yeah, bid openings.
Well, no, it's not, no, paving bid. Remember we opened the bids the last time?
Oh, yeah, we did open them, yeah.
And we have to decide what to do.
Yeah, highway's fine with me.
Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be added or removed from the agenda? Okay, hearing nothing, then we'll move on to the bid opening for the municipal land sale, starting...
Back up one. No, I'm sorry. I thought there might be something to add, but there isn't. We're okay.
Well, there's some, I mean, there's some things, like, I'd like to once again speak about the trees on the common. I don't know where you want to put that. Okay. If that's gonna go on the highway, if we're gonna discuss it with Kurt, or how that's gonna go, but regardless, we have to do something about it. So
I'm gonna add it under new business.
New business,
Yep.
Trees on the common.
Yep.
And Rob has brought to our attention that John has scraped and painted the gazebo on his own, and I think that we owe him a Greta. So, and I think that ought to be in whether it's other business or new business or what.
Okay, anything else? All right.
Under old business, well, maybe it's under highway again, but about the gating of the town garage and
the gating?
yeah, we, at the last meeting, the 6th meeting, we asked Kurt to put gates up, and I don't think that's happened yet.
No. Put that under highway.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything
There was
else?
something that you were gonna remember, but forgot at the last meeting. Is that the picture? Okay. On a plow or something. Okay. Yep. Okay. Good.
Are we done?
Don't want to add any more.
Well, there's a number of things under the highway that we have to discuss, but I don't think it needs to be
Itemized.
right there. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, as I started to say, the property bids seem to be, say only property bid. I'm not sure which particular parcel they're for, so I'm gonna have to open them and sort them, if that's okay with everybody, so we know which one goes to which. This doesn't work. I don't like this.
You want a different one?
I want one with it.
She wants it sharp.
You want a pocket knife?
I don't know if I trust her with a knife.
The shielding, that's dead.
Kyle's the one that's,
These are my numbers. Okay, so this is actually both. Part.
no. I'm taking one.
So let's
Well,
do.
just open both of the property bids, that's all. And then we can sort them, because...
Well, that's what I'm doing. Some of them are marked, and some of them are not. So
Okay.
what we're doing now is opening the ones that are not marked. That's the who is who. Okay, this one would be. Okay, this is Higgins.
You just put it in one eye and one of the big ones.
Somebody just keeps running.
Thank you.
Don't mix them up.
I wasn't trying to mix them, but this just says property, so I'm gonna go up in this. Yes, cool.
Okay, that's Higgins.
You gotta open them all in here.
They're open them all anyways, you know, there. Just do property, put them in piles.
Higgins.
And that's West Townsend there.
Yeah, this is West Townsend, this is West Townsend. I have them in piles.
Yeah,
Until you,
I'm gonna keep them in files too.
okay. This is pictures. That's West Townsend.
If my pen ticking makes funny noises on his ear much, so I wonder how that slicing of that paper is doing.
Okay, this is double sealed. I need, never mind. Doesn't work.
Whoa, where'd that knife come from? Sam's Army Navy.
And this one is. This is Higgins.
And then
These
you
are
take
just-
them all back out again.
Well, that's okay, at least
Yeah.
they're sorted now. Alright, so Higgins is this pile.
And Higgins is first.
So, let's do this, because one of these is a duplicate. Alright, so Higgins-
Is that empty up in front?
Yes, that's what,
Okay.
it was a, never mind.
Fine.
Adam Clark, and the bid is $2,075.
Which parcel?
These are all gonna be Higgins.
Oh, Higgins?
All the ones I
Up in
read now.
Townshend Acres.
Okay.
Francis Muse, and again, this is Higgins, $5,001.
Francis I.S., C.I.S.?
Muse, M-U-I-S-E.
Yeah, I got Muse, but is it Francis I.S., C.I.S.?
Yeah.
C-E-S.
C.E.S. Okay.
Paul Rush for $6,900 for Higgins,
6,900,
6,900.
okay.
Nystrom, Jamie Nystrom.
Yep.
$20,001. 20,001. Okay, so I don't have duplicates. Let's do. Oh, we missed some kinds. Yeah. Okay, Dairy-Brook Maintenance.
Who is it?
Dairy-Brook Maintenance. And that was 1,000. And this is Higgins as well. John Evans, 6,000. Okay. And then the last one is Peter Galbraith
That's for Higgins?
for Higgins, $150.
Okay.
1369 is Higgins, right? Yes.
Hold
Hmm?
on. $160?
Yep.
105, 50. 150, 150.
150.
Oh, 150, all right.
Okay? So it looks like that goes to Jamie Nystrom for
I
$20,001.
make a motion that we sell Parcel. Parcel number 13069-000 to Jamie Nystrom for his bid price of $20,001. Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of selling parcel 13?
069.
Yeah, to Jamie Nystrom for the amount of $20,001, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay, motion passes.
Carries one abstention. I'd remind the board that we can only get so much out of that.
Right,
Right.
we'll have to do the research necessary to find out what we can keep, and the rest of it we'll have to, we'll just have to see if we can find the previous owners.
Previous owner goes to the state.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one will be the municipal land sale of 17 acres in West Townsend. And we'll start with Peter Galbraith, and that bid was $5,151.
5,150. 151.
5151.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. The next one is Dairy Brook Maintenance, and that one is 1,000. And the next one is Bob Servo for $2,549.83. Did you get specific?
$2,549.83.
Yep, so it says.
Okay.
Okay.
Always gotta be one in the crowd. You know?
Oh, yeah. Somebody has to do things differently. So
That's it?
that's it, just the three of them on that piece.
I make a motion, we, sell the 17-acre West Townsend municipal property to Peter Galbraith for his bid price of $5,151.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of selling the West Townsend property,
You second that, Carl? I'm sorry. Yeah.
property to Peter Galbraith for $5,151. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I don't have enough votes. Try it again. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. All right. Where'd you put the rest of the?
They're in the pile envelopes next to your coat. Are those all empty?
Told you not to mix them
I
up.
didn't mix them up. I had them in a separate one.
No, you don't.
That's right. Is it thread? They're all, I have them in pile. I'll say the original.
Yeah,
Or two of them say the original, one says no.
One. Okay. Alright. So now we're doing Deer Ridge. Donald Goulden's son, bid amount is $2,500. Estimated start date is next week. And estimation completion date of 5 days. Okay, the next one is TMG Enterprises. And the bid amount is $3,000. Estimated start date September 7th. Estimated completion date September 11th. Make sure we don't mix them up. And the next one is A.S. Clark. Bid amount is $4,350. Estimated start date September 1st. Estimated completion date September 30th.
Make a motion that we award the Deer Ridge Culvert project to Donald Gould and Sons for $2,500 as second bid price.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of awarding the Deer Ridge culvert repair to Donald Gould and Sons, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain.
One abstention, motion passes. Okay,
Do you want me to call him? You wanna call him? I'll call. You'll call him? Okay. Are you gonna have to lock him?
I left a message today, the last order, he has to take that.
Okay. So he could start next week?
Good.
Good, okay. I'll call, TMG Club. Okay.
all right. The next one would be the roadside mowing bids. We only received one. And from Andrew Rockwell. And the bid amount is $5,550. Estimated start date September 20th. Estimated completion date October.
What exactly is he gonna mow with? I mean,
Doesn't say.
Sickle bar mower.
haven't in the past we used something that's gonna,
We rented.
The contractors that we subcontracted to have had rotaries as well. Those big arm reach out on them.
We always have.
September 20th?
It says September
Start,
20th.
yeah, start September 20th, finish October.
And that's with the sickle bar, right? That doesn't get on the other side of the culverts. I mean, the guardrail.
Right. We've had sickle bars in the past years, and we rent the roadside mower
Yeah.
over the guardrail mower and stuff. That's why we go every 2 years, we rent it over the guardrail mower, and we get the woody stuff, and take our time and do a great job, and that's why we do it that way. There's not a lot of games not a lot of people playing that game anymore, roadside mowing. Talk to other towns and stuff like that, they're having a tough time too. Yep.
So, which pleasure?
The price is good.
and that's for every road in the town?
Yes.
One pass?
Not two. Two if you can do two, of course. A lot of roads you're not gonna do two, you know, Simpson Road.
Yeah.
Which pleasure?
How come that we've been paying $8,000 a year to rent a machine that only takes 2 weeks to do it?
Cause, we do 4 and 5 passes and we get it for a month.
Yeah, but you're still using it for 2 weeks and you're paying for 4 weeks.
Who?
The town was $8,000 a month for that machine.
We use it for 4 weeks, right?
That's the one over the rail, right?
Over the rail.
Over the rail.
Take a lot of woody stuff, we do as many passes as we can. And we can reach 24 feet and.
Yeah, but you pay $8,000, then you pay the man on top of that. So
I realize.
Yeah, but he's doing a totally different job with that.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just asking how come it takes that long?
Here's the backstory on that. A lot of this roadside mowing and years ago should have been done. That's why we have a ton of trees this big so close to the road, because they were never taken down. Because as soon as they get woody, you're not, as you know, you're not going to hit them with a sickle bar mower. As soon as they get any bigger than what? That big? Or even that big? We're doing a better job.
We didn't mow it with a second bar mower. We
You
mowed it
didn't.
with
The
a
first-
disc mower.
Disc mower,
Or
a rotary,
press hog mower.
only for a couple of years when Steiner had it.
All the time I was in there, the first 2 years we didn't, no, but
And when I came here, and before I came here, they were doing a sickle bar mower because it was Elliott and it was Chris Lowe.
Yep,
They used the sickle bar mower.
you're right. Yep. I make a motion we award the roadside mowing to Andrew Rockwell for his bid price of $55.50.
He came and talked to me, he says he'll have his insurance company fax in.
Yeah, it says,
I told him to put a footnote on the, okay.
is there any further discussion?
My only discussion is the concern of the timeline. I'm not sure that's, but if he's gonna do it, he's probably booked, he's booked. I think that we're a little late getting the bid out or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even have their mowers lined up. talk in the window and Jake, and then we have the mowers lined up there because nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
All right, so the motion on the table is to award the contract to Edward Rockwell for the bid amount of $5,550. And there is a motion and a second on the table, so any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd say,
Kelly, you gonna vote?
Aye, for,
Okay.
in favor,
The-
I'm sorry.
The motion passes. All right. Would you like to proceed with this?
You're in chair.
No, geez, then. Yeah, let's go ahead. I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and take members of the public first out of order.
I'd move that, so moved.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Okay, so then, did you have something you wanted to speak to us about?
Thank you.
How you doing, Matt?
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We apologize for not getting this to you beforehand, so you have time to read it.
Thank you.
You're gonna chase them. Yeah, alright. Alright. Do you want to address what you said, or we need to go on the record in some manner, we certainly can't sit here and read it.
Right. Yeah, thank you for letting us come before you and also changing your schedule the beginning of the end. My biggest concern is your concerns. I didn't think that, I thought that we had satisfied everything that we sort of initiated in the original proposal, and I realize it's a different board, but the matter still seems the same, that the use of the common and what we've done above and beyond what the initial proposal was, and the fact that people are happy. And there seems to be a thread in there that this is needed. It's beyond anything I could have thought would happen within a month. So, and it being a small enough town, and I think we know each other well enough that we can discuss this in a positive way to alleviate any of anyone's fears or concerns, which is why we're here.
Yeah, I would just speak, as you say in your, almost toward the end there of your letter, that you understand the concerns about controlling what happens on the common. And I think that's where the discussion was at our meeting on July 6th, when Ms. Gulak had petitioned the board to do a massage service there. Corey Sleeper would like to open a small engine shop. Somewhere, I can see this growing to huge expansions. You also talk about the quote-unquote business in the building next door. That has been an ongoing issue that's being addressed with law enforcement in this board. My concern is, and you speak to it, there's no zoning, there's no policy, there's no nothing. And I think that before we can open this up to businesses, that something like that has to be made. It certainly, and I said to Gail before, it's not a personal thing from my belief in my position. But I think that when we start doing that kind of personal business, and God knows you folks have done well, and you're appreciated, and you do your civic duties and your donations and all of that sort of thing. And I don't think that's what we're talking about. It's talking about the control of what happens on the common. And I can see this rapidly blowing up to everybody doing whatever they want on the common, and I don't think that's where we're at. I was not on the board when you first petitioned. Had I been, I might have addressed some of these concerns, and I'm not saying it's good or I'm not saying it's bad one way or the other. I think at that meeting, for me, at the meeting on the 6th, it was said that the board that said that it was okay didn't realize how often it was going to happen and that sort of thing. Not that it necessarily changes it. I would address the argument that Townshend Business Association uses it for their Pumpkin Festival, and Grace Cottage Hospital uses it for their fundraisers, and as many other nonprofits use that common. And in the farmers market the same way. When it was first brought to us as the farmers market, you know, it was not for profit. It was an organization, not individual, and I think that needs to be taken into consideration. If we open it to one individual, to the next individual, to the next individual, pretty soon we have the whole common is a commercial enterprise. good, bad, or indifferent, I'm not sure, because I'd waver on both sides. I like business in town myself, I mean, for the obvious reasons. But that's where I stood at the last meeting when we were talking with Galen. I think that this board or a board or something has to, I'll agree with you, if we have to make a decision on an individual basis, or there's no policy, there's no zoning, but I don't think that we can open it to commercial enterprise. Not saying what you're doing isn't well received and well appreciated in good business, but that's, I can see that quickly going. That's my comment, not what other people have to say.
Anybody else?
So I'm not saying that what they've been doing has been fine, but what about if somebody comes along and wants to set up a tattoo parlor or anything on the common? How do you stop it if you got one? That's my problem, that if you open it up to the public, then you can get it, and just like he said, 2, 3 others made the comment they'd like to own a small engine or something else, and how do you stop that? I mean, I don't know just how you stop it without stepping on somebody's toes.
I think that we should probably explore the possibility of a vendor permit and have some regulations on it. And, I don't really see what the problem with the food situation is there now. Or if Gayla wanted to put in some sort of massage parlor, as long as they're done.
Massage parlor?
Well, seat, chair, table, whatever it may be, it's there to be used for more than throwing a ball on and walking your dog on. And, I think that a policy would be a pretty good thing to explore in the future.
I think personally it's up to the board. I mean, not necessarily to set a policy, but case-by-case basis. You can't just arbitrarily set up a shop, and Mike and Molly came last year when they were on the board and planted the idea. So, depending what the idea is, the board still has to vote on it, yes or no. And they vote no, and no is no. That's just that. So, I agree kind of everyone's points as far as should there probably be a policy? Yeah, that would have been great if we had it probably 10 years ago, already nicely set up and done. Should it get done? Yes, but kind of behind the 8 ball and as the town's concerned as far as writing it. So I think it should just continue to be a case-by-case basis for the remainder of the nice weather, and then looking at putting one into effect, not necessarily restricting anything, really strict, just a general policy to outline, I guess, approval of what would get approved and what might not, or would it just be beneficial not to have one and leave it up to the board?
So
I think that we'll end up visiting this.
I didn't answer.
I was just
Again
gonna
and
say, it
again.
sounds to me like this is going to be an ongoing discussion for a while.
Add it to the other 100.
Yeah.
And again, I think that if you leave it on an individual basis up to the board, each board is gonna have a different.
Right,
And therefore, no one can make future plans necessarily. So if you want to do your hot dog cart, just for example, next year you gotta wait till after town meeting to come and see the new board, or how's that, you know what I'm saying, how it's all working?
Well, it does seem as though it is something that should go before the town, and, since it's owned by townspeople, to be a town-wide decision as well as a board decision put forth by the board. And also, I think it's really important that it be seasonal, that there's lots of issues at a different time of year with things that are going on in the common and not being there full time. I mean, we're very aware that people use the common for events, weddings, other picnics, kind of things that are their own or planned beyond us, and trying very hard not to step on people's toes that way. And And if somebody said, hey, we're planning to have our wedding, on a Saturday, and we plan to be there, and they're gonna be there all day, we wouldn't be there. The wedding's a lot more important than our hot dog gig, so, I think the confusing part is this sort of doesn't lead us anywhere either. I know that it's an ongoing discussion and a decision that something has to be worked out or put into policy in some way. I guess we didn't want to continue without addressing it, because then it's, we're in a weird place of hearing from other people that something was said, or there was some concern, and then not having anyone come to us. Then we had to come around the other way, come to you and say, well, what do we do now? Where are we with this? Do we continue? Can we operate this summer on the common and it gets revisited next year, or are you feeling strongly that that can't continue?
See, from my, and I'll speak for me, once again, that's what I'll speak for yourselves, but you've already, from my standpoint, you've been given permission. I mean, I don't think. Through
this year.
I don't think that it's
For this year, yeah.
appropriate for any board or board members to invoke that, that's, in reality, I think that it's a good thing that you continue, because you show what good that it can do to the community when we continue to have the discussion, argument, pro, con, and developing that sort of thing. I don't, for a minute, perceive that anybody's saying that you should shut down, right? But you've already been given the permission to do that. That's where I stand, and the rest of the board.
Yeah, I do. You have permission, so it's not really up to us to shut down. But the way I understand the thing, that like this board, we can't mandate something for a new board next year. That's why, like Kit said, to check it after town meeting, because if it had to be 5 new people or 4 new people, whatever it is, or there'll be 3 probably anyway, so, and that way, whatever they go by, but not us mandating and saying that they've got to do this or that.
Well, but at the same time, I think in all fairness to everybody involved, we need to consider a policy for the common, just like we have for the town hall. There are specific uses that the town hall are permitted here, certain things that are not, and if we write up the same type of a policy for the common use, I think we will find it makes it a lot easier all the way down the line, whether it's the hot dog cart, whether it's Grace Cottage, whether it's the pumpkin festival, no matter what it is, because there'll be a set of rules that everybody can follow.
And if I'm not mistaken, when you were given permission, from what I understand from our discussion on the 6th, that it was pretty open-ended anyhow, because you really didn't know how and who and what hours and that kind of thing. So, am I right? That was what we said.
It was early when Molly came to speak to us that time.
And it was just kind of a sure, have at it, that kind of thing. And, which is, again, I don't necessarily object to, but I think in the future this board or any board should have a little more control, concerns about controlling what happens on the common, as you talk about in your own letter. I mean,
well, I agree with you, because if we weren't doing it and somebody decided to do tattoos across the way, it'd be a very different thing.
Yep.
And I'm not, I think it's important that there be some sort of something, because then, as you said, as Kathy said, it will be easier going forward to make decisions about these kinds of things if you have something to refer to.
Well, and even future boards.
Yeah. Right. So another board has.
You're kind of the stepping stone in the beginning of it.
Right.
And we're happy to be there. So.
Well, in your letter certainly outlines the success and the good points of that. And, that's what I'm taking.
Situation out there, it's almost like it's magic in some ways. People are stopping, they're going slow. And from the get-go, I wasn't going to buy the cart until I had a positive yes from the board. But my goal, our goal in this whole procedure is, and it changes since we've opened. Mike is mowing the lawn. How can I help you, Mike? This is easy for me. You know, what day are you gonna do it on? We move benches together. I don't wanna be in his way because he's got a contract to mow the lawn, and the lawn needs to be mowed. And
Well, and I don't think the board was intent on being negative toward what you two were doing there at all at the meeting.
Just the
On the 6th, actually, it was just the opposite, but the discussion was around, you know, around Gail's request and expansions, if Corey's gonna be allowed to open a small engine shop there also. You know, and we chuckle at that, but that's what's coming down the road. Once we begin setting up booths, if you will, then the next thing is, well, they got 2 tents and I only can have one. You know, I can see it. I've dealt in that stuff, and I've dealt with people for years and years and years, and that's what I see coming down the road. And that's my concern. It certainly isn't, you know, what you're doing and what your ideals and how that's panning out is. My concern is the control of what happens on the common.
And we have policies from other towns to use as model boilerplates. I mean, just to have a review and, or have a committee put something together as a proposal. Other towns do this. I mean,
yeah, no, I mean, there's New Thing, for example, and they have their free concerts and they have their festivals, but it's in the benefits of the nonprofits and the church and that kind of thing. And I think it's kind of there's a line there somewhere, and I'm not sure how that could be addressed. But and you know, I've spoke my concern. That's all, and it's not a personal thing at all.
Okay. We had a whole series of employees that are coming in to speak to us this evening. That's why we put you ahead. So I'm going to unfortunately have to clear the room so that we can move into an executive session. So I would entertain a motion under 1 VSA section 313A3 to discuss job performance with Sean Gervais.
Could we just hold that just for a minute or two? Because I would like to just thank you folks for coming in. Apologize on my part if it is anything on my part for not coming to you directly, but I certainly didn't think of it in that way at all. I just thought more of it in being, what are we going to do about people's request for use on the common?
Yeah, well, I appreciate your statement because I don't think we knew, you know, I don't like hearsay. It's dangerous. And so it was really important to just come tonight to hear what all of you thought and
I appreciate that.
And get it onto the table so that something can be done. So thank you.
Section A313.
313A3. I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
And you want to go in at what time?
I want to go in to executive at, let's do 6:50.
42.
No,
48,
6:50. I went a few minutes alone,
Oh, okay.
just to get paperwork in.
That motion carried?
Evidently, because nobody was voting, so yeah, we just need to get all our paperwork. So because the camera wasn't on as we came out of the 3 executive sessions, we need to backtrack to the session with Sean Gervais as far as a resolution. Do you want to state it?
Let's see. As a resolution, after discussion with the employee, Sean will meet with Chris Grotzcook and Craig Nunn to straighten out any discrepancies in payroll timesheets. And he will no longer be working, I assume effective immediately, no longer be working at the highway garage. That's right. Okay.
All right, and then the executive session.
Just so, I'm sorry, we didn't inform Kirk about that,
Oh,
but.
I guess you just were.
The feeling amongst the board was you guys should be able to clean your own bathrooms.
We always used to, it just, I don't know why we don't clean it first.
I don't either, no idea in the world.
And so the resolution on the executive session with Chris Cook,
I don't have that long-winded, but I do have that Ms. Rothscock will be meeting with a representative from NEMR for continued training. We'll be attending select board meetings. And we'll be reviewing the minutes, I assume discussing them with me to get an idea of the bigger picture of municipal.
what's going on? Absolutely. And then the executive session with Kurt Bostrom. Is there a resolution? Anybody? Evidently not. So we will pick it up then with the highway. Did you have something to speak to us about
Yes.
specifically?
Specifically, I'll start at the top of my list. Ed Smith will be taking the first 2 weeks off of August for vacation. And I'll actually be overlapping with Ed for the 3rd and 4th and 5th. I got a family thing out in New York that I have to go to. But I have,
So is that's the first week?
Ed's the first 2 weeks. I'm the first week.
You're the first week.
Yeah, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah. I already got plans for Bob. We're gonna undercoat all the trucks, everything like we do before winter anyways. That's that.
So you're off in July, are you off next week?
No.
So you're gonna,
Just 3 days.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Is one guy supposed to be there by himself?
One guy can be there by himself. I need to get a couple culverts from WW. They got the state bid. I'm running low on culverts. Need a couple more 20-foot, 18-inch culverts. We talked about the signs from Atlantic Rome that mistakes were made on those. We discussed that. Paving money. Well, we're going to discuss that tonight. The bids. Okay. And I got to think about find out about sand bids and call up for the state salt bid too. We haven't heard from anybody. We
got an initial, but it wasn't. We received something from.
It's through VLCT, and it was discussion of the state bids. It was a forward of an email, but Cargill had not yet worked out in any small town.
Okay.
This was probably 3 weeks ago.
It's usually around the 1st of July here from the state and what we projected use and stuff.
Evidently Cargill hadn't set the.
Hadn't set the rate. Arkansas had. There was a shortage. I mean, everybody was up and down. The state had made one on a big commitment, but it hadn't flowed down to the big companies making commitments to small towns. But anyway, we can. It's obviously time to at least lock that in.
Yes.
Do you have a projected salt use or what's average? It seems like last year we
Last
used
year was
80,000 tons per mile.
80.
Am I right?
80 tons per month.
80 tons per mile. That seems like a lot of salt to me.
And we're only.
Which is part of what we're talking about, the trees on the common and that kind of thing.
And we're only putting down, 200 to 300 pounds per lane mile, and per application, which is usually twice. All of our trucks are calibrated for the amount per mile we put down. So last year was a terrible year. We used a ton more salt, and it went up 40% in price. So how are they going to stay within budget? And I have to get a small load of riprap. The culvert up on Grafton Road, the new box culvert that they put in, it's starting to wash out on one of the wing walls on the back side of it. So I want to reinforce it with riprap.
That's the new culvert they put up?
A few years ago, about 8 years ago. Yeah, well, that's new.
Yeah, but that going down by what used to be Rubicon, Wards now.
On the left-hand side,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that culvert.
on the
down
flats there, yeah. Yep. We have put bank run gravel there to try and keep it, but that has gone too. That's all I have.
Okay. Is there any update on the sale of the Sterling now that it's been repaired?
I have talked to Jeff Delury and he'll be getting back to me.
And you're gonna be doing the gates So,
Yes.
all right, so the town garage and the compactor and everything will be gated and locked at the end of the day, just
will be.
because that's gonna be part of what's going on.
Did you or the crew, were you the ones that cleaned up around the recycling bins?
This morning?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it was definitely a mess.
Yeah, that's, recycling has increased twofold and winter solid waste is real busy. They were real busy before, now they're really busy. So I called up as soon as I got in this morning, 10 to 6, and we went out and picked up the mess, yes.
I'll just ask.
What did you, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What did you do with the recycling that you took there? Was there room in the recycling?
Yeah, we took a
bin?
hole and or a rake, we pushed it back into the thing and we jammed it in there.
No, isn't that Arnold's?
But if Arnold's not there on a Saturday night or Sunday or
Right whenever it was locked.
Monday morning.
Well, I mean, I went by on Sunday morning at 8:30 and it was,
That
looked
way.
like a bomb went off.
Oh, we pick up.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Looks
well,
better.
that's one of the issues. Hopefully the gates are going to help to address to some extent, but.
All the bins were open, paper and glass.
But-
But the glass was full, I know
But if
that.
people use it,
Yep.
they just walk away and leave the bins open anyways.
Yep.
Was there
I see.
anything-
Yeah, I just happened to think, and I'm reminded, several weeks ago, I'd asked you about the culvert by the firehouse.
Yes,
Have you looked at that?
yes,
Cleaned it out?
Yeah.
It's all set.
the guy did that, yeah.
Right.
Yes, they did.
So is there anything else other than paving bids?
Yeah, on the Grafton Road curve,
Yes.
but which is A and which is B?
The big one was, I have it written down here.
A is the one we got the grant for.
Yes.
A is when you get, well, that starts from, just before you get to Deer Valley.
Well, it's the shorter of the two, but that's what the grant is. Athens Road is real long from the Athens line all the way down to Deer Valley.
There's a difference in the road from the intersection.
Yep.
In other words, that one starts right just before you get to Deer Valley Road and goes up to the intersection in the road. And if that's
Yeah,
the one
I'm not sure of the starts.
that's
and
the one
stops.
that you get the grant for.
Okay, I'm not sure of the starts and stops. I thought the Grafton Road was up the hill where the
Grafton
guardrails.
Road.
No, the whole thing from the street is Grafton Road.
Well, what the grant was in for was
What
2,000
the
and
grant was
something
saying
feet.
for was up on Grafton Road. My thing was the Athens Road. Actually, Ed marked in the wrong spot. But on the Grafton Road, along the guardrails up there, you saw the break in the pavement and stuff like that. That was my Grafton Road for the grant number right there.
No, I say, because I had no idea, I was just looking at A and B, which was A and which was B.
Well, just a minute, Ed marked in the wrong spot.
If you want to go by Grafton Road to Athens Road, the Athens Road comes actually, the Athens Road's paving project comes down onto the Grafton Road and stops by Deer Valley.
Okay.
That's,
I just
it's
wanted-
two different roads, but that's the
But
first,
that's
the big number. That's the grant number
We
there.
can go from Athens line to Deer Valley, that's one
That's
grant.
one.
Okay.
And the next one is the Grafton Road itself,
So we
up
go
the
to
hill,
up the hill.
in the Grafton Woods, that's what we,
All right.
And then Grafton B is down by Sleepers, I guess. And
yeah, from,
Yeah.
Sleepers down to Deer Valley or Deer.
Valley.
Valley Gate.
All right.
And then East Hill would be the fourth one.
No, I thought I was just wondering which was which.
So really, the grant considers Route 35, right? It's not
Right.
East Hill
Right.
or Grafton Road.
And
Just
the,
so we're all-
and the Athens Road. That's Route 35
Yeah.
from Deer Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as the paving goes, I mean, we opened the bids at the last meeting.
Yeah.
I don't have them.
I have a bid sheet here. I have the bids and a big printout. Just take a second.
Last year's money never got put in reserve, the balance of the money that we didn't use. Because remember we talked about that, doing a big project this year in economy of scale for more pavement, more tonnage. With last year's money, and we thought we were gonna put it in reserve. Remember we talked about that at the meeting?
We talked about it during budget season with Bob from the board.
And we talked about it when Irvin was on board.
No, Oh, that's right, we did, at one of the meetings. It never got put into
It
the.
never got brought up before.
So paving bids, I've got a copy here. Grafton Road B is Grant, am I right?
No, Grafton Road A.
Grafton Road A is Grant,
No, neither one of them are.
Yeah.
A or B, are they correct?
Grafton Road A is Grant and Athens Road, so.
In
first
Athens
one,
Road.
right.
is Grant.
Yep. I've copied.
I make a motion that we award paving bid to Springfield Paving for Grafton Road A for $25,064.04.
And can you give me that number again? Get 25?
$25,064.04.
That's 640. Good.
That's Grafton Road A.
Yep.
So, and you seconded that?
Yeah.
Pat? Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of awarding the Grafton Road A paving bid to Springfield Paving for the amount of $25,064.04, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
I make a motion that we award Springfield Paving bid price of $149,977.08 for paving of the so-called Athens Road.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of awarding the paving bid to Springfield Paving for the Athens Road in the amount of $149,977.08, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Now, just to clarify, the grant award is approximately $130,000?
Mm-hmm. 129 and change, but approximately, yeah, 130 is close enough. And this totals 175.41.12, so our 20% is more than built into that.
So, I know they've been calling. Kurt, do you want to speak to Springfield, or do you want Craig to?
I can go speak.
Okay, and would you let Basin and Lane?
Did they call out here already?
I've talked to them just to the extent that you and the board were going over basically the budget numbers, had not made a decision because the projects were not clear as to what we were going to be able to actually undertake at this time, and that we would get back to them as soon as possible.
Do we know what the projected start date for those?
The projected start date for Springfield was...
They're all about the same, I think.
Yeah, there were...
Well, I'm just looking at the tax flow, cash flow.
Springfield. Town completion, 4. Bid agrees the work will be substantially complete on or before October 1st, 2015. Will be completed, ready for final payment on or before October 1st, 2015. They didn't write anything else in here. My understanding was that they were pretty much ready to go, probably in August, but I don't recollect exactly. But anyway, you have the stop date of August 1st, and they agreed to that.
We're gonna have to watch the timing on that and then also try to figure out whether or not we can push through that line of credit, just to be all the ducks.
Well, he's gonna talk to them, so I'm sure he can get a more firm, what's the schedule look like and all of that. The other two don't matter at this point, but.
Well, the other two are gonna matter if in fact we secure a line of credit, right? I mean, because my next motion was gonna be to table, the awarding of the bids of Grafton Road B and East Hill Road. So you can't just leave them hanging, you have to do something with them. So if we table them until such time that we are assured of securing a line of credit, which I believe the bookkeeper and you are working on, I hope. I mean, I'm still concerned about the accuracy of figures and where we're at. But
With regard to that, I will pretty much assure you that the line of credit will go through at this point. We've got a lot more familiarity with the numbers right now, and I think we can get that in.
So did you make a motion to table those two?
I will make a motion to table the awarding of the Grafton Road B and East Hill Road until such time that we have confirmed we have secured an appropriate line of credit.
Okay.
Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of tabling Grafton Road B and East Hill until we secure a line of credit, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Because they're gonna ask about that too.
So can you make sure that carries forward on the agenda, and if you would let them know that that's still open to discussion as soon as we have a firm answer.
B and
B and East Hill.
or East Hill.
Did you want me to let Lane and Biz know that as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I'll Springfield, we call it.
You call with the good news.
Pardon?
You call with the good news.
You call for the back.
It's not bad.
So is there any other highway business that needs to be dealt with, Kurt? No? Anybody at the table? All right, hearing none, then let's move this along here, halfway through this agenda. Law enforcement.
I would like to make a motion that we suspend the draft agenda and return to 8. And
Members of the
Mr. DeWitt has come up. I don't know if he has something or just visiting.
I know Ms. Gulak is waiting as well.
Yeah, well, she's on for old business.
You aren't here for anything?
Okay. All right. Welcome.
Fine.
You were
Welcome.
bored.
I didn't know if you had an issue, that's all.
Get him on camera.
Okay, thank you,
Good
Kurt.
night.
Thank you.
Well, let's just go ahead and you made a motion to suspend the rules and to move members of the public up in the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? What?
It's in the old business, that's all.
Well, but she's
No,
already,
miss.
she's already
That's
here.
right.
There's no point making her
Yep.
wait.
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Yes, ma'am.
This is just a continuation of
Your request.
Right.
last meeting, July 6th, and, you know, I was here for the discussion you had with Mike and Molly, so I'm kind of having a feel for, we don't need to rehash everything, but you tell me where you guys are at now, because we left everything up in the air.
I think at this point in time, it's pretty clear that the board feels it necessary to establish some kind of policy and or rules governing the use of the common. As far as the request that's on the table, that's pretty much up to the board to decide how they would like to handle that. Whether they want to just wait until we do get the policy put in place before stepping out, or what you would like to do.
I think you owe her a response.
Well, that's
Yes
fine.
or no, that's what I think.
Not I owe her. Okay, thank you. Anybody?
I said my piece the first time, so. Somebody has to make a motion.
Yeah, there has to be a motion on the table. I mean, the one request that I did have was that the insurance, proof of insurance.
And once,
Yeah.
you know, you guys approve, I will do that, and I will show you proof before I proceed.
Right, but that's what we just got trouble for the last one. What kind of dates and time frame are
This
you
is-
looking at?
I was looking at 2 hours. I think I put down 3 hours because I have to put the chair up and take it down, but basically, it's like from 11 to 1, 11 to 2, Tuesday and Thursday. I want this to be very short.
Just for a matter of minutes, just briefly review what the request.
Okay, so the request was to put up a massage chair, which is mobile massage on the commons. It's a chair that folds up and goes in a case when it goes away. It's very, very low impact. And what I wanted to do was do it for about 2 hours, 2 mornings a week on the commons. That's it. Or I guess morning till afternoon from about 11 to 1. I think I put down 11 to 2. That includes break up and set up and breakdown time. And just as an adjunct, I guess, to what was going on in the commons, it's true that I had thought of it before, but once I saw Mike and Molly, yes, Stan, that did encourage me. I thought that I didn't realize this was going to open up the whole can of worms. It did, and I apologize for that.
Well, no apology necessarily for me, but because if
Yeah.
it weren't you or somebody else, there's a host of people.
So it's, you know, it's a little bit of relaxation, a little bit of stress relief. It's usually people go by the minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever they want, and then they go on their merry way. When I broached Mike and Molly, they thought that this would actually be something that we would enhance and bootstrap off each other, that this would be something that would, that the businesses would actually benefit each other. And they said it's a low impact and it's just something really nice to offer people. It would be, I put down that it would be, you know, while the weather was warm and obviously absent any type of interaction with the schools or any other events. It's, you know, I'm not sure what else, yeah.
Okay, so was there a motion on the table? No, okay. So I would entertain a motion. Thank you all so much. I mean, technically, well, go ahead.
I'll just make a motion to allow Gateway Wood to have the massage chair on the common,
Pending insurance.
pending insurance and the other requests that are made by the board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Just my only discussion, I think, is already recorded on reasons that I don't think it's a good idea. And that's not a personal thing.
No, I know.
All right, are we ready to vote then? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
2, 3, okay. So the motion is defeated. So my suggestion to you would be to let us work through this process of whatever the rules are going to be for the county. And I have a feeling it's not gonna go away anytime soon, so we're gonna have to get down to this. And then look at it for the beginning of next year. Hopefully by just after town meeting, the policy will be set and you'll have a format to follow, whatever that format is, with the board in whatever form it takes. at the next-
As a townsperson, I'm actually really happy with that. I didn't realize there wasn't a policy or how ad hoc this was. And everything you guys discussed with Mike and Molly, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's great that, you know, discussion is open, that hopefully town input will be there. And all I would say is that no matter what you guys decide, I know that, I think Irv brought up the sense that, that it wasn't fair to put in a policy that another board might have to deal with. That's true, I think, all the time. And anything you do here, I think, can be undone really easily. So thank you for thinking of a policy. I think it's time to have something.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
and there is one
we
for-
really appreciate that.
There is one for the town hall, and it makes sense to have one that would govern the common as well. There's no doubt about it. So check back with us.
Yeah, I don't take any more time, but thank you for the time you've given me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. DeWitt, you said you did not have anything. Okay. You take your papers back.
You don't have to leave.
Yeah, we're ready now.
About to get
Yeah,
good.
that ain't what time it is.
Just about to get good.
We've only started.
Waking up here.
Okay, law enforcement, this is a report, there was no revenue numbers that were received that I'm aware of. Town clerk, you all received counter, what is
We're
down
done,
further,
yeah.
yes. Treasurer, Joe, do we
Yeah.
have money?
Yes, as of Friday, you had $465,372.90.
Of that, how much of that is encumbered?
What do you mean?
How much is reserves and how much is spoken for or already nailed to something else or whatever?
Well, this should be what you started with until your warrants tonight. I don't know what you got for warrants.
I haven't looked at them yet.
Yeah, but I mean, we have,
Reserve funds.
we have reserve funds and
Oh, I know.
earmarked funds and all of that that are included in that. So what I was asking is how much of that 400,000+ is in reserves or earmarked specifically, and how much is expendable at our discretion?
I'll see if I can find out.
I can actually tell you, having just looked at that. You got 161 in reserves, and we should probably make recommendations. I should probably make recommendations to the board of how to lock that out of, some of it anyway, out of the general checking account and the sweep account. Because it is $161,000. It's handy to have for spending, but at the same time, it's a false sense of buffer assurance when it is basically accounted for.
Right, I mean, that's why we're getting all these
Yeah, 160.
inaccurate numbers, and
Yep.
you can't make expenditure numbers such as the paving
Nope.
when all of those things are encumbered and we don't have that information, right?
Well, we have it. It's in the printouts that I've given you, and I have it actually on that whiteboard over there. Some of it is for paving, some of it's for fog line, most of it's for reappraisal fund. There are some other smaller grants that we're holding on to that are basically came in for a purpose, and we're holding them for a purpose, but it's 161,000.
Let me see now, let me just do this.
And that's
150.
that's within hundreds. Yeah, it's ballpark.
That's 175,000 for the paving that we approved tonight, and we're paying 20% off?
Yes.
Times 20, so in our expenditures tonight of paving would take another 35,000 out of that, right? Yep. So then you're down to 161,800 and 35.
Yeah, but you got 6,200 in retreatment.
Let me get the
Don't
easel.
put that.
Let me get the easel and we'll put it up.
I mean,
in
you
here.
know.
No, you don't have to,
Talking about something the camera can't see.
Yeah, but I don't want to make a long issue out of it, so I'm just saying, I guess part of what I'm saying is when Joe gives the report of what we have in checking account,
Yeah.
it's perceived as being
Not yet.
money that's available to us, and there's a lot of it that is not available to us because it's already earmarked, or it's in special funds, or it's in reserves, or we've expended, or we will expend, I don't know how many thousands tonight in. Yeah. So sitting here with Joe's report doesn't give us an accurate figure as to what we do, am I right?
All right, good.
It's
You
cash.
know what's available for, like, for paving and stuff, is it?
It's cash that you can spend, but some of it is allocated for future use, and because it isn't separated, it's not protected from everyday spending. Put it that way. We talked about it at the budget workshop, or the tax rate workshop last. We talked about this a little bit, and I was asked by Kit, and I think the board in general, to consider making a recommendation to open up a CD or a savings account or something so that we can segregate some of that and keep it intact.
So is there anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Because with that there, that's all one lump sum now?
That's included in the report that
That's
Joe just gave you.
included in Joe's report.
It's in the checking
Yeah,
account.
I realize that, but is it all in one account or is it in separate accounts?
No, it's all in one account. One account. The big account.
All right, how, the interest in that, how do you get to divide the interest up?
We don't get any interest on our checking account, or at least not substantial. I think even if you lock a CD away for a year, you're not gonna get 1% anymore. Those days are,
Sounds like 3.5.
I mean, there are things you can do. I mean, the reappraisal fund is getting up there, and that should probably be, rolling over kind of thing, and if we can gain on it, we should. These have been building, a couple of them have been building for quite a while. And again, those are ballpark numbers, just to give you a ballpark bottom line.
Let's see, what I'm getting at too, some of that is highway and some of it is general fund.
But the general fund pays everything, whether it's library or highway or, I mean, it's a general fund.
Maybe, but it's still, when it's voted on, it's a separate fund.
I agree. That's why it's tagged, and we keep track of it on accounting. So that we know how much is there year to year. It's in the town report. These numbers came out of town report.
If we're successful, Joe, in getting a line of credit, and we use that line of credit, what's the interest that we pay?
Well, I haven't found out yet.
It's under,
Until you get it, you ain't gonna find out, right?
Right.
Because sometimes we can borrow from ourselves, what I'm saying. We can borrow from ourselves cheaper
Cheaper.
than we can borrow from our line of credit. That's, that's to be considered in where we put this money, but.
I think 2 years ago, I think it was between 2 and 3%.
Yeah, so sometimes it's better to put this in reserves in the bank and draw interest on it and borrow the money on the line of credit. You make, it's a 1%, it ain't a lot of money maybe, but it's money. It's
But the thing
doing
is,
it right.
if we do borrow this from ourselves,
Then you
we
get,
gotta make damn sure we put it back.
well, that's the problem.
Well,
That's a problem right there.
as it stands right now, with that 465, you're not gonna make it through first tax
No, no.
revenues by taking this 161 and using it. I mean, that's gonna be, by the time you buy culverts and you buy riprap and you put tires and you do this and get early bids on, or get early deliveries on sand and salt and all that, you're gonna eat that up and do payroll for the summer. And the first taxes that come in, like 83% of it go to the schools right off the top, and not everybody
Oh,
pays.
yeah, I realize that.
Not everybody pays their first taxes on time. That having been said, we will seek a line of credit because we're gonna be dipping under a couple of months this year, no doubt about it. And probably should have that hedge. There are other accounts that we possibly could dip into, but we never have. They are locked away in separate accounts. And I don't know what the law stands on that. Some of them are fairly big.
I know that. But
You'd
some
be
of them-
surprised that
but
some of them
No,
are
I'm
big.
not, but I know what the accounts are, and they should be big. They should be
I know.
to use what they're meant for. And that's my concern about here. I mean, even
But
in
if you
here,
take the fire truck money, you're gonna be hard pressed to pay it back.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And if you take the reappraisal, 100,000, you're gonna be hard pressed to pay it back.
Well,
And that's not what those reserves are about.
But the situation with this is that it's a reserve on paper. This is mixed in with the cash. And that, at least on some of the bigger numbers, probably shouldn't be the
Should
case.
not be.
Right.
That's my own opinion.
But it's, since we did reappraisal, that's grown a bit, and
One more thing, so we're not yellow tag, but,
You're optimistic.
I'm working on it anyhow, and it made me forget what.
I'm sorry.
Is there a time frame maybe when we can confirm on whether we're gonna get a line of credit, or how that's gonna play out and work out?
we'll probably know in a week. We'll know before your
So
next
by our
meeting.
next
Before your next
meeting,
meeting.
we'll, okay.
Yep.
Because we need to make some of these other decisions between now and then.
Are we all done with that? All right.
We've been a little busy.
I know we've been busy, I understand, but
All right, moving on to the warrants.
Make a motion.
that wasn't a downplay. I know how
no,
busy we've
I
been.
know.
You have been, Kathy.
It's preemptive defense.
No, I didn't even come in today. I wouldn't even talk to him.
That's your fault.
I wouldn't talk to him.
Scare the hell out of me.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 72001 for payroll in the amount of $8,298.27.
Is there a second? Oh,
I'll second it.
Larry there.
Now it's time for discussion. That's the one that
that's
we,
not the same number.
Is that 722?
72001.
001, okay. That's not
is
right.
that the one that we've had problems with that we were gonna discuss?
Here's payroll taxes.
On it go.
It's not the same number,
Did it change since Friday?
evidently. Is that the number we have? It's just the only number you have.
It's a work in progress.
82.
Process, I should say. Shouldn't have changed since Friday. Because the checks got cashed on Friday, you're gonna look at.
So the discussion is,
Give me a second.
Yeah, well, there's no second on the table.
yeah, I
first of all.
second.
I need,
Oh, okay.
I did, so we can discuss it.
Okay,
About
well-
that.
Yeah, I need to print out from people, second now, payroll
Second
taxes,
one.
which doesn't belong in
I
there.
mean, it's possible that this number changed.
Yeah, it shouldn't have. This was printed on the 17th. Oh, this is Friday.
And bookkeeping has changed it since Friday, is that where you?
7/10. Check, no, I'm sorry, second check date is 7/10. End date was 7/4. This was printed on the 13th, so it shouldn't have changed.
Joe, you want to turn that heater up a little bit more, please?
Throw another log on the fire, would you?
Yeah.
The rock's getting cold.
Wow, it's
Just
just
cement it.
sit all day.
I can't tell you because I don't get the report that you
95
get, so you're gonna have to figure out what's that. I hate that thing.
Yeah.
You gotta figure out what
Pass
it is
out.
here. You probably can find it on there. Maybe we ever close together what's going on. Because the bank printout hasn't changed.
Difference is $164.32. Okay. There's a motion on the table to approve the warrants. It doesn't matter, we're not holding up anybody's pay because it's already gone out. I would like to get this clarified. So, all those in favor of approving payroll warrant, I flip it over because I don't have the amount. In the
Can I-
amount,
I'm sorry, you do have a motion on the table, you're in discussion, I recommend not approving it or the taxes until we do get it straightened out. Well,
What do
you're-
you think I'm doing?
I
I'm
don't
calling
know,
the
you're calling
question.
the question.
Yeah.
But I'm making a recommendation on how to vote.
But you
It's
have,
already been paid, the checks have already been cashed.
I'm gonna kill him.
Kill me.
however, because we're still in discussion stages, right?
Well,
It's
more-
already been paid, checks have already been cashed,
All right,
but
doesn't
we
matter.
don't know in what amount.
That's
Right?
correct.
The warrant is different.
Well, the warrant is different from a total that I received via email. They should be the same.
And you would have received the email on Friday when the warrants were ready, saying there's a payroll warrant, this number.
And they're different. This, my
And
sheet
now
is
something may
less.
have changed.
My sheet is less than this sheet. So,
There's an inconsistency we need to resolve, plus there's at least one employee whose pay needs to be checked on. Like I said, checks have already been cashed, deposits have already been made. That's not, it's just whether you accept this to go into the historic filing
because,
cabinet
this isn't right.
for the auditors.
This isn't the same either.
Do you have two sets of payroll in there
Payroll,
or something?
I don't
Same
know, maybe I
thing?
have the wrong goddamn one.
That's 720.
You should. Because the 10th was the,
No, they're not the same numbers. I'm very confused.
you got the wrong printout?
No, it
No.
says warrants dated 7/20/15,
7. Okay.
right?
Yes, yeah.
Warrant number 3
Seven.
appears to be 572.47, and I've got 486.
I don't know if I've lost a horse or found a rope.
On with the computer.
Hey, get me going.
It's for exactly what's said here. Okay, Craig, just to show you.
No, I'm about to print an email.
It's off by what?
The calculations, right?
This calculation. Well, see, what you did, this was the one that we held with the wrong number on it.
Yeah.
It was 486, which is what's on my sheet. This, Kyle just added those numbers, and it equals that.
So we're okay?
Evidently, we're okay with this, but we're not gonna play with those, okay? So I don't have any of the numbers. So, let's go back to the payroll,
Ready to go.
well,
Do you want me to do
Not
forensics
targeted.
here or no? No, I guess not.
no,
Okay.
we'll
I'll get it after the meeting, just to satisfy my curiosity. Okay, you got a motion on the table.
Yeah.
Payroll, 72001 in the amount of $8,298.20.
27,
27, sorry, Kyle made the motion, Kit seconded.
okay, ready? Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed?
How big a gavel did you want?
No, you're optimal.
Neither.
Must be 4 abstains, huh? That's a quorum.
Oh, God. All right, let's try that again.
Which one did you correct now? Because it's kind of like gone around here in a circle.
Okay, the payroll has to be clarified because the numbers are
All
different.
right,
So at this point in time, let's just get rid of this warrant until it's clarified. We're not signing it because I don't know which number's correct.
all right.
So all those in favor of approving warrants 72001 in the amount of $8,298.27 signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Abstentions? The motion is defeated.
The nays have
So
it.
now, you still have to do something with that payroll. So I make a motion that we table signing the payroll number until such time.
2072001.
Actually, it's just gonna automatically rise to the next one.
Right, the next.
Because until you approve that one or some corrected version of it, that's just hanging out there for the auditors
And I don't
to.
think that it can hang, I think you have to
Okay.
at least do
I'll-
something with it. So the motion was to
Yep.
table this until the next meeting or such time
Well, let's,
that they can be.
can we go ahead and do the payroll taxes since
Yeah,
they're
because
it
together?
falls there.
And then we will table both.
Yep, it's fine.
All right, so read
Make a
the,
motion to approve check warrant report number 72002 payroll taxes in the amount of $3,252.06.
Those 6. Get second?
No,
Oh, you did the first one.
fails for lack of a second.
No.
it would, it
Okay,
would fail for lack of a second, if nobody seconds it.
okay.
All right, so now you need to make your motion to table.
I make a motion that we table warrant number 16-72001 and warrant number 16-72002 until such time as clarifications and corrections can be made.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Yeah,
That's a great.
ouch.
Ouch.
Hearing none, all those in favor of tabling payroll warrant 72001 and payroll taxes 72002 until corrected, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 72006.
No, up to 3.
It's,
3.
it's not legal name.
3 doesn't have a number on it,
Okay,
I don't think.
right here. There's a
Yeah.
number. Oh, God. Read it from the top of the sheet.
You want me to
Start-
read?
I would take
You
a
want me to
break.
retype these real quick?
I'm gonna take a break, just so everybody knows.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 72003 in theory out of the general fund for $572.47.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion?
Who seconded?
Me.
Rob.
All Hearing none, all those in favor of approving warrant 72003 in the amount of $572.47 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 72004 out of the highway fund in the amount of $3,461.92.
That was right. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? This is the one, your magnesium chloride bill, or,
Yeah.
all right. So, all those in favor of approving warrant 72004, the highway fund in the amount of $3,461.92 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 72006 out of the general fund in the amount of.
No problem.
There should be a sign.
Oh, my bad, stuck together. Sorry.
Check. Put them together.
Well,
There.
yeah, we can't put it that way.
Did you fall?
Why did you do that?
That's the other.
Make a motion to approve check and warrant report number 72005 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $880.
How did that number change? That number should not have changed. Don't laugh at me.
No, I wasn't, I was coughing.
Yeah.
It's the breeze. Steady breeze on me here.
Well, there's the check, so we know the check is the same number, so go ahead.
This is a motion. No, I was thinking a second.
Is there a
I
second?
did.
Rob second.
Okay,
I was giving it
okay.
Is that number accurate now?
It should agree with the check that's on
to
here.
This is a check.
It'll be, yeah. So it's just, so that's what she did, she pulled the sterling,
Is that the
sterling
payment
payment.
to?
Yes, she pulled the other stuff out of there. So all those in favor of paying warrant 72005 from the equipment fund in the amount of $880 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
You paid the first page of that bill on the sixth.
That's the time, yes.
And this is the second page.
Right.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 72006 in the amount of $964.98. It's out of the general fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
What is that warrant?
This is general fund.
General fund?
Yeah, it includes, the payment to Sovereign Solar.
Yep. Just general fund.
Mhm. Is there any further discussion?
Is that payment to Sovereign Solar, we're still in limbo and playing with that, or is that, we finally settled where,
We are not
what our
settled.
obligations are? I think there's
No.
more discussion and more stuff happening, right?
We're not settled, we're still awaiting a little bit of a legal opinion on that, and more
Okay.
on that when we get it. This is corrected, the problem with this one was an incorrect bill was sent through prior to this, an
From
incorrect
last week, yeah.
invoice,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
So that got sort of held, the correct one
Yeah,
came
yeah.
in, it's been changed.
okay.
All right, so there's a motion and a second, correct?
Yes, Rob second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant 72006 from the general fund in the amount of $964.98. Same number. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check and warrant report number 72007 out of the general fund in the amount of $8,073.83.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant 72007 from the general fund in the amount of $8,073.83 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 72008 out of the highway fund in the amount of $112.20.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant 72008 out of the highway fund in the amount of $112.20, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 72009 of the equipment fund in the amount of $1,318.40.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving warrant 72009 from the equipment fund in the amount of $1,318.40, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. All right, so it takes care of them. I can't give you the totals because I'm home with you all. Okay, moving on to correspondence. The only piece of correspondence I actually have is in relation to the E&O that's coming up later in the agenda, so I'll save that and read that at the same time as we do that. Their business, we've taken care of the GULAC request. Net metering agreement with Sovereign Solar, the update. Craig and I met with our attorney, Mr. Ancuda, and discussed some of the issues that we've been having with this. We are waiting for a legal opinion from Mr. Ancuda before we decide which way to go with pursuing possible changes to the agreement and the way it's impacting the town. I don't know if he's forgotten us, and we just haven't heard from him. It's been, what, about a week and a half?
It'll be 2 weeks Thursday.
So we should be hearing something very shortly, or we'll remind him that we need an answer.
We did ask him on another subject, and we did get a quick response on that, so that's thrown him off a little bit.
Okay, so we'll update you as soon as we find out more on that issue. Officer appointments, I believe we have one person who's interested in serving on the Social Services Committee, and that would be Susan Hunt. So I'd entertain a motion to appoint Susan Hunt to the Social Services Committee.
So
Second.
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of
She changes her mind.
She's gonna need help, but yeah.
She's good.
No, she's well.
She's got lots of help.
Yeah.
All those in favor of appointing Susan Hunt to Social Services signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. You can congratulate her. I thank her. Please.
Make her watch the video.
Make her watch the video so she sees
Yeah,
what
okay,
she's
man.
getting into. Law enforcement contract. We, at the last meeting,
Yeah,
we got a proposed contract from the state police. And we were all going to look over it over the time between the two meetings. And is there any discussion or a motion?
also, what I had said at the last meeting is that I would speak to Sheriff Clark and ask him about, because in the past, he had declined to contract with the town. If in fact they contracted with the state police, he wasn't willing to contract with them at all. And that still stands. So I was maybe talking, seeing the budget is 20,000, 10,000 state police and 10,000 the sheriff's department. Because you all know that I'm kind of in favor of seeing the sheriff's cars around. I think that they pay their own way in fines and that sort of stuff. And state police make their presence in town on criminal investigations and that sort of thing. So if we contract with the Vermont State Police, then we won't contract at all with the Sheriff's Department. That's kind of the only information I have to put forward. So it's right before us now is to accept the contract with Vermont State Police for, I don't have it right in front of me, I haven't looked at the book, or to contract with Windham County Sheriff's Department. So that's where we're at.
both contracts are to not exceed $20,000.
Correct. To
Just-
not exceed $20,000.
Just-
That's all it was voted, and part of, what was discussed before with the sheriff's department is they don't do criminal investigations and that sort of thing. It's mostly traffic enforcement, because the budget is not substantial enough for them to engage in criminal investigations, because they become expensive and da-da-da. And the state police do that, not under contract, but under the state auspices.
You will have a bill at the end of the month from the sheriff's department for $45.55, call it $4,500, which brings the $20,000 budget this year down to $15,500, unless you go over budget, which can be done.
Yeah.
So what
That's your choices.
I make a motion to award the service contract to the Vermont State Police. Discontinue the contract with Woodland County Sheriffs.
Second.
Is there any-
You gotta have a dollar figure.
Yeah.
Contract with state police not to exceed
Not to exceed
$20,000.
$20,000.
Okay.
Well, that's what the contract says, but again, as you just pointed out, we've already spent $4,500 of that. Do we need to alter this contract?
Well, no, because you're
Because I don't
contracting
know
with
how that
that
would play in.
We're
with what
contracted
the
with the state police for
expectations
20,000, and outside of that is to Woodland County, so.
Didn't that? They
It's a
did-
law
20,000.
enforcement, special article contract.
It was, yeah, it was a law enforcement.
Yeah,
That
So,
was-
but in the
so
defense
your
of,
deficit spent.
in the defense
in
of
order
history, we contracted,
Yeah,
or
how can we spend the 4,500?
we haven't yet, we haven't gotten the bill yet.
On contract, the end of,
Yeah, but they haven't been around, because I've been
It
around.
doesn't
Yeah,
matter,
they
it's,
have.
it's written into the contract that was signed, that unless we notified them in writing at the end of that contract, that we wanted them to discontinue services, that it would roll over at the same rate.
that's right.
I read it,
And
I
they
read it
have
to
that
you
Does
all
it
the last
roll
time.
over as they're doing something, or it just rolls over,
It
they
just-
don't do anything?
I
Yeah,
don't
but
know,
they've
it just
submitted,
rolls over.
am I right or wrong, they've submitted, their billings for hours and tells where they.
Not for this month
Not
yet.
for June yet,
You,
or
you'll,
July yet.
another 6 or 7 days maybe, actually probably the end of July.
So that 4,500 is a guesstimate, but I
Well,
think.
no, that's fixed, that's based on,
Oh,
the contract amount was 55,000 for 12 months, works out to 45.55. I assume they're continuing on the same contract.
and there may be, our share of fines or something coming in
Oh,
to cover
that's
that.
always an offset.
So
That's always an
I
offset.
mean, in reality, I don't know how much we got last year in fines, but I think it was 30,000?
35.
35,000.
Yeah.
In the contract, well, that was full.
The contract was for 20, the board chose to go to 55.
Yeah, but they.
We got 35
right there,
back.
Right there. This board, not this board, but the board before,
Right,
overstepped their bounds because they was only authorized to spend 20,000.
right, which is what you're authorized to spend right now, except you've
Yeah,
already
well,
spent
that's
5.
That's what they were
Except
asking.
that you're already spent 5, which means that a contract with the state police by rule should only be 15.5.
Which would have to be renegotiated with the state police.
But you have the latitude to do what you.
That's what I'm
want.
saying, I mean, we can deficit spend, I mean, if you, that's,
My motion,
that's
my
part of the
motion,
discussion,
my
you know?
motion still stands to contract with state police for 20,000 deficit for the 45.
My second still stands too.
Okay, so not to exceed $20,000, second round.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of contracting with the state police for law enforcement services for this year in an amount not to exceed $20,000, signify by saying aye.
I know.
Those opposed?
All right.
And abstentions? I don't have you in there, Irv.
I said aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
To which one? To the yay or the nay?
Aye.
Just aye? Captain?
Aye, Captain.
We got a quorum or we don't?
I
We
don't
do.
know.
Okay, well,
Irv,
we're
did
gonna
you
appoint-
vote in favor of the state police?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, the motion passes.
Very.
All right. I really don't want to sign this. Today's the 20th?
Yes.
Did you pass that back to Craig? All right. Next
Are
item
you
on,
gonna notify those departments
As soon as possible. I'll notify the state police.
and the sheriff's department? You gotta let them know we did not.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
we're ceasing the contract. We need to let them know officially.
I told Keith Clark that
We'll
we
get
let
back.
him know,
I'll
so.
call them tomorrow.
All right, the Board of Health, again, you saw the letter. You should have all had.
There was a letter in your box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Copy of the letter that went out to the property owner, or the property owner, and to the attorney's office that was referenced.
And to the health officer.
And at the next meeting, we will in fact begin that meeting with by convening the Board of Health to listen to any information about this and make a decision as to whether or not to issue that health order. Okay? Under new business, we have errors and omissions. You all have a copy of a note from the listers, basically talking about, let's do both parcels separate, and just say parcels 03013-000, and that had to do with the grade on the lot. And in fact, when the reappraisal was done, there was an assumption made. I don't think that the lot was ever actually walked, and the lister did in fact go out and walk it and have downgraded the grade of the lot to a lesser value because it's so steep. I don't know how to phrase it without being politically correct.
There's a lot wrong with the last reappraisal. A lot of properties were
And
wrong.
this letter that I referenced earlier in correspondence is from the property owner, and basically she's just communicating that in fact she's talked to the listers and she's been told that there's going to be a reduction in the value of the property, which was a little premature considering that we haven't decided that yet, and then her taxes will be reduced.
I don't know where we stand. I know that if this is the appraisal from the appraiser that the last reappraisal we had done, we had so much difficulty with. But the old value is 70,600 and now the value is 16,800. That's a massive drop in values.
What exactly is the square footage of the property is incorrectly listed at 31?
That's the next,
And
that's the
that's the
next.
next-
Are we talking
Oh,
about
that's
the
a different-
actual?
It's different.
Is
It's a
there,
different parcel.
That's a different parcel.
oh, okay.
Right. I just, and again, I mean, who am I to second guess the listers, second guess the appraisal that we fought
Who are
You're
so.
being politically correct as
I
well.
am trying to be politically correct,
Thank you.
and this may be the first of many. But from 70,600 to 16,800 seems like a massive,
Yeah, thanks.
not just a little error, but a massive
Yeah,
error.
but you go out and
You know,
look at
say
one
that.
of these parcels of land, and they've never walked them. I
Well,
show you
no,
parcels that a
no.
goat can't hardly get up, and they get them right up where the,
I know, that was from that last reappraisal that we had so much difficulty
The
with.
the contract signed was that
It was-
all the properties would be at least looked at and the listers would assist.
And
They did, they looked
and
on
it
them on
did
the
not
tax.
happen.
Well, first of all, I need to bring it to your attention, this letter's, while it was sent to the select board, it's actually addressed to Becky Nystrom.
Yep.
And this is to, in fact,
So she has
she's.
notified them of delinquent taxes.
Exactly. So the taxes evidently for last year were not paid most likely. But then at the end of the letter, she does refer to the fact that she's spoken to the listers and there's been a substantial reduction.
Well, we don't know how and what, right?
Well, we haven't approved that, but
We-
yes,
we
she's
haven't-
talked to, right. there
well,
was
she's
a-
ta- she's
there's
talked to the
a great
listers.
distance, yeah.
And basically, what, the explanation for me when they came to me and asked me how to deal with that is before the tax bills go out, basically they went out, they walked this, and they found that the value of that property based on the grade was just so out of whack that they felt they had to correct it before the bills went out. That's the only way I can describe it.
And here again, not that we're necessarily gonna be able to do anything about it, but I wonder for how long have they been out of whack? And if we're going to be forced to reimburse for past taxes paid. See what I'm saying? It's setting you up to it.
But that would be the case.
And again, nothing
That's-
you're gonna do.
that would-
Really, no, because it's,
If you
it's
didn't agree.
just happening now, you get your change, so you can't go back.
Yeah, you have a period in which to grieve. And if it's been along all that time, and you miss the grieving period, I don't think there's much you can do.
She missed the grieving period here.
Well, she definitely did.
But she has spoken with the listers, and they've indicated that it would go in under errors and omissions, apparently. So this is not a change before the grand list is filed, it's after the grand list is filed. And this would be well, it's an error.
Yeah, it's an
Well,
error.
how big is this lot anyways?
Can't be that big.
It says right on there what,
It doesn't.
It's
It says
a 1
it's
acre.
one with a
Usually
2
a
acre
parcel,
and a
but
.8
don't tell you what it
building
is
lot.
or anything.
You read it and tell me how many acres that building
it
lot is.
doesn't say.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I was looking in the
No,
wrong line or what.
Well, I can certainly look it up.
Well, it said, it's basically saying it was a level parcel with
A building
two,
lot.
with a building lot, right, which is how every parcel in this town was
I
evaluated.
don't say it's an acre.
No, it doesn't say an acre, it says
It's
it's
a 2
a
acre, right.
grade of 1.0 with a 2 acre,
.8
.8
grade.
grade building lot to .3 with no building lot.
So they're taking away the building lot, that's clear, that would.
But it, no, it
majority
has
of
a
the
2 acre .8 grade building lot. There's a 2 acre building lot.
lot. No, they have adjusted the grade from one with 2 acres to .3 with no building lot.
Yeah, but it's 2 acres of it, there is a building lot. It's .8
Do you want my key?
Zero,
Joe,
no,
Joe,
021, 0802. I don't have keys to listen.
That's right, it was,
well,
yeah.
Joe can get the grand list out of
Rich says, by God, we're gonna do it 10 o'clock anyhow.
Place blame where the blame lies.
Do we know
Let's
where
think we went
this, where
back to
this
starting
is?
at 7, or,
I don't know, map 5 would be where? Or map 3?
I mean, I don't know if there's anything you're gonna do anyhow other than
.03.
prove it. What are you gonna do? Deny it?
Well, that's again, listen, they've already told hers.
That's what I'm saying.
03, yeah, which is be map 3,
Yeah.
but it's been so long since I looked
God,
at
it
Map
it.
seems
three
like
would
every time
be-
you turn around, it's another, and it
Reduction.
may not be money, and I'm not, but there's a penny here and 20 cents there, imagine.
No reduction.
It's been so long since I've looked at it.
08, what's the number on there again?
03.
No, 08.
It is, no, that's the next one, 03.
Let me get the map for you, that's 08. Sorry.
This is the map for the next one, right?
Yes.
Which is 08021.
21.
Left building.
Parcel 21. I hate these things.
I do too.
Where's the
Rob keeps confusing me. Oh, it's a low map. Easily fine.
That's parcel 21. That's what it said.
Okay.
Map 8, parcel 21.
128 acres. Nothing.
You brought the wrong one, so we
No,
were
I want
looking
the
at.
right one. This is map 3.
I'm gonna leave. Kyle, you're vice chair.
Already left.
Oh,
03013.
13. Right there.
I'm not sure.
It's right there. It's on Stilesbrook Road.
Yeah, right here.
It's right here.
This one here is
Well,
Edward's deal.
Yeah, but this first one is,
This first one up here is the one,
This one has,
that three,
This-
it's out on Styles Brook.
this appears to have 31 acres in it. That first one.
31 acres off Styles Brook, $16,000.
what was that one?
Dickerson?
Dickinson's?
Dickerson.
Yeah.
This one up here. Parcel number in this paragraph.
Yeah, Dickinson.
It's 31.
Dickerson.
It's 31 acres, 31.4 acres. All told.
Okay.
And it's only worth 16,000.
There is now 2012. It's a vacant parcel. Adjust the site to grade 8 for poor unmaintained access. That's the lister's code. Value at 70.6. But it's 31.4 acres.
I think it's where there used to be a bus on the bottom of Stiles Brook Road, where you used to go past Nelson King bought the house now. Go across the brook, Cunningham, Patty Cunningham.
Yeah.
Go past Patty Cunningham's, used to be a bus forever when I was a kid sitting there. And I think that's what the piece is that they're talking about.
Well, there's 31 acres there.
Yeah. You need one leg longer than the other to walk it. But, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You know more than I do.
Oh, yeah, no.
Dickinson bought that piece of steel had up in there, that's what it is.
I need a notice down here somewhere. Okay, don't lose my sheet.
What's the other one?
So, there's a motion on the table, I believe, is there not?
No.
No, okay.
Unless you do that one.
Yeah.
You wanna do it?
It walked, I'm like, fuck, I didn't do it, I didn't do it.
So we have rope to get over that something. I don't know what it is.
Those right there.
So, yeah, it still hasn't changed, still doing that first one.
Yep.
31 acres.
31.4.
That's been dropped from 70,600 to 16,800.
That's gonna be okay. Yeah, makes sense.
54,000 dropped something like that.
Okay.
I mean, we can always table this and ask the listers to come in and speak to us if there's questions about it. The only thing is, the tax bills are going to go
The
out.
tax bills have got to go out, that's all.
Well,
And we just
So
need
how did
to,
they come to the $16,800, just by the formula of the grade and?
the grade and the property.
yeah.
How did they come so far off?
Because way back when they had that reappraisal, the company that they hired, Mazeroff, that we argued with and fought with,
He never went and
he
looked at
promised that
it?
he was gonna walk every piece of property, which he never did. The lister stood behind him, we argued it, I'm just not gonna go into it, but it was argument after argument about how many properties in town were so far off, and the listers stood fast. So now it's coming back and there'll be more.
You're gonna haunt you.
$13,000 later, and our maps are still not.
That's right.
Where we ought to be. But anyway.
So, Like I said, what would you like to do with this? Would you like to ask them to come in and speak to it? Would you like to just go ahead and do it so the tax book is not correct and doesn't have to be amended? What would you like to do?
I'm gonna say $54,000 an awful lot.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, they,
I mean, again, we sit here as a board with our hands tied and really don't have much.
You don't have a lot of information right there.
We don't have much information, number one. And
I mean,
number
I would give you copies of maps and copies of all this and send you through some documentation, some history.
and number two, they didn't come in to speak to us to it, but number three, they've already notified the property owner that the taxes have been lowered to,
It's a done deal.
I mean, it's a done deal, you're right, it's a done deal, so I don't know how we, as a board, you can sit here and not do it, but it's gonna cause you a lot of problems further down the road again.
You need 2 or 3 motions for each, one for
Each
each
parcel
Yeah.
has to be different.
I can look at old tax books, we have them in this office, but I would think that knowing what was paid 2 years ago, 4 years ago, would, I mean, just if this has been a continuing problem, or is this a new property because of a merger or something? But, I mean, it is a substantial change.
I make a motion to follow the listener's recommendation to readjust the tax value on the original property. Parcel 03013-000.
From 70,600 to 16,008. Second.
Zero.
Second, have a discussion? Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Any discussion?
I feel like it's already been done.
That's what I'm
Already
saying,
noticed.
we sit as a board,
Too
and we
many other
don't have,
variables, if that's already involved.
we
I
have
don't-
no input, and
That's fine.
we should have been informed of this when we could have at least had a discussion and some information from the Board of Listers rather than them. And however, I know, when was it signed?
but I'll tell you, my feeling is,
It was signed last Friday.
this thing here,
The same,
due to the reappraisal and a lot of this stuff, the listers have never been there.
well, and
Until somebody brings it up and then they go.
this letter was sent to Becky Nystrom on July 17th. That's when it's dated. July 17th, 2005. The Board of...
2015.
2015. The Board of Listers wrote this memo to the Select Board last Friday, July 17th, 2015. I don't know if they went and viewed it, or it says we walked the property and adjusted the grade.
Which one of them walked it?
But even the dates don't correspond, so I don't know.
I can tell you.
Everything the same
Same
day.
thing. It's the same thing we fought when we had Mazeroff here, and it's the same thing we fought with the Board of Listers for a while.
It's a lot of property.
There's nothing that you're
Since
gonna
that
do about
last
it.
reappraisal, has been nothing.
So the motion on the table was to approve the recommendation of the listers to,
That's the next one.
no.
No, I'm sorry, I'm talking to God.
To adjust the value through errors and omissions on parcel number 03013 from 70,600 to 16,800. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
All right.
All right.
Oh, poop.
Now you're gonna make up a choice.
No pressure, Kathy.
No pressure, none whatsoever. I'll vote yes, motion passes.
What I don't understand with that is how is their signature on that have hold any water weight to anything to do with the actual part of the price, the
Tax,
overall.
the tax amount or anything else?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's just like that, I mean,
They make the change.
you could
That's a
basically,
legal-
you could take dice and roll them on this table and come up with whatever number comes out on there, put it on there, and they're gonna sign it. Well, that isn't really kosher to me. I
No,
don't
it
think
isn't.
it's kosher to a whole bunch of the people in the town.
That's right, and
It's
that's
like,
what went on
if we
since
paid
we had
somebody to
Mazra.
walk a piece of property and paid them to do that, then we should stick to what their original
And that was
price
the argument when we had the
They didn't
last
go to grievance.
reappraisal with Mazroff, and the board of listers are elected officials, as a board we sit here, there's nothing we can do, they can roll the dice and count numbers and
But
say
there
they
should be,
want it.
there should be a
Nothing.
history, there should be a
There's no
history of
accountability
deliberation.
to
There
that.
should be a history of deliberation, of first contact, and of the motion made at the table where 2 out of 3 of them voted to deal with this in such a way.
That's right.
And there should be a history as to how they came to that conclusion
If
in the
they had,
minutes.
if they had a grievance, that's why we have a grievance period.
That's right, they don't have
If you
minutes
have a problem
meetings,
with
they
your
don't-
taxes now, you could go down, you could send us a letter and be like, I want a grievance now in the middle and nothing. And that's not what the grievance is about.
They have
It's
no
made-
minutes about what they've done, they have no recollection to come into the select board and explain any of that stuff, and errors, omissions, or anything, but.
Well, I find it to be kind of a crock that they can change
That is
it now.
It is,
I think it's totally wrong, and I don't think that that's at all how this setup was even supposed to be formulated. Period.
I agree.
That's why we have dates set up, grievances set up. People come here on Saturdays, evenings to hear grievances. Not to grieve something when it's, what, 15 months past the grievance period?
Well, it's
And
not
we vote to say that, okay, that's cool, we're good with it. Well, I'm glad you guys think
Well,
that that's a good
as this-
idea, because
as
I
this-
think it's a pretty bad policy to set a policy and then go against the policy that you had set.
I agree.
As this property goes into delinquency.
It goes right back to the deed and all the other stuff that we talked about in the past, and it's like, if you're gonna have rules and then break the rules, then why don't we just throw the rule book right out the door quick?
Yep.
And we'll skip a lot of
Breaking
the.
rules, we're not keeping minutes.
We've been there, done that.
Yep,
Okay, we're done? All right.
We're gonna make a motion on number 2 and discuss.
Now, number 2 is for parcel 08021-000. And this appears to have the square footage of the property having been listed incorrectly, which is actually an error in the grand
You
list.
have the line card right there in front of you, you wanna see it?
I do, where is it?
You've got it over
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry, no,
It's
that's
good.
right.
Just take that
No,
page.
no, that's fine.
Just take that page, yep.
Change that one, 21,100.
Now, that's prior to making any changes, so that's what
I understand.
you're, yeah, I know.
Now, when did this come about? Like, how did they go out with a tape measure and measure their own house and come up with these numbers, or did the listers go out and redo these numbers and come out with them?
The listers would have made this, well, they're making the recommendation, so the correct square footage, they have obviously recalculated that correct square footage
Well, I can
by
read
measuring.
that part, but who went out and
You
came
don't
up?
have the history of who gave a heads up that it was wrong or needed to be adjusted or something like that. I mean, if you burn down the garage, then you can call them up, but again, that has to happen before April 1st. If you dismantle a building before April 1st. Anyway, I don't know what the history of this one is. How they knew about it, or came to know about it, or who went out and measured,
Or did anybody go out and
or
measure?
whether they used it.
And when did she bring this to the board of listers that it was incorrect?
See, I was looking for square footage on the line.
Should be on there.
It's not on here that I can.
Really? That is the right parcel you got, right?
Yes.
Okay, just make sure on that.
Can you find the square footage on here? It just says, there's no square footage on here, and it says,
That would have been through the calculations.
08021.
measured and verified by Howard Lott.
Well, good as gold.
I thought each of these had a square
I
footage,
did
but
too.
maybe they don't.
This is different, I mean, they've changed these dumb
Yeah,
things.
that was, Maryland, if I see.
Yeah,
Well, actually, that was, February of this year.
mhm.
I just don't see how we can keep changing these in the middle.
You'll see a lot more coming, I think. That last
Well,
reappraisal.
then why don't we just get rid of the grievance? We'll just have a year-long grievance.
The law allows for corrections to be made to the
That's right.
grand list after it is filed. The grand list has been filed. At this point in time, the only way to correct any kind of an error, whether it was a piece of property that was forgotten, and we do have one that was going on that was forgotten. The only way to do that is for the select board to allow the change to the grand list, which is what we're doing here. Normally, those requests come from the listers, since we are not involved in that office and looking at the cards or going out into the field or anything else. So again, I will propose, if you're not comfortable with this, we can table it until such time as we have one of the listers come and explain it.
Well, there is a motion on the table.
There is.
Actually, there isn't.
No, okay, we never got that far, okay. So somebody needs to make a motion, one way or another, even if you're gonna vote it down, a motion has to be made.
I make a motion that we table this matter until such time the listers would agree to come in and explain their rationale and understanding behind it.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of tabling the request for an E&O on parcel 08021 until such time as the listers can speak to the board and explain the changes, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? What? No. So we will be in touch with Mike and tell him we need some more information. We need him to come to the August whatever meeting and just explain the change in the square footage on that property.
Wish we'd done it on both of them, actually.
Yep.
All right, so then
Yep.
the next thing we'll do is we wanted to acknowledge John Evans for the work that he did on painting the gazebo.
Yes, at our last July 6th meeting, John Evans voiced his opinion about how shabby the gazebo looked and disrepair, and I understand Rob said that, right? That
Yep. John and Bill Nelson went out and
John and Bill Nelson went out
put a
and
coat of paint on it.
scraped it, painted it. Looks nice. Thank you, John and Bill.
Thank you, John, for bringing it to our attention and then putting your best foot forward in getting it done. You get a that-a-boy for that.
That's enough.
And then the trees on the common, is there anything else that we wanted to address on camera with that
Well,
issue?
I think that, I don't know what we're gonna do with the trees on the common, but those around the common, this school side, they're dying.
One over
One of
there,
them's
two
dead.
over on that side, there's one right behind the phone booth.
Cut it down.
Right, that used to be the phone booth, where the meter box is. You look at them, they're real pale yellow.
I don't know if there's any saving them, you know, I'm
I'd
not
say get
treating
the
them.
town crew to cut them down, but we're having a hard time getting them to cut anything
Yeah,
down, so.
they require overtime. Oh, stop.
Well, when you use a sickle board, you can.
I don't know, I mean, I'm not a tree, I don't know if it's, we've got a lot of money invested in those trees.
Yeah,
The
right.
common fund has invested over the years a lot of money in those maple trees, and now they're beginning to mature, and now they're dead, or dying. I don't know if there's any saving them, if there is, what that would entail and how much it would cost. And I don't even know who to ask.
We have some money in the budget, there's money in the common fund, you can have Bartlett come out and have a look. You'll remember that 5, 6, well, maybe more than that, maybe 7 years ago, we lost a maple tree out there. There was discussion about planting.
Yes.
They recommended, Bill Eckhart came in, one of the last meetings he actually attended, came in to make a recommendation, and there wasn't the money in the budget, a decision wasn't made at that point in time. But that empty spot is still vacant, and now we're looking like we're gonna end up with one or two more in pretty short order.
I would like, I guess it requires a motion. I would make a motion that we contact Bartlett Tree Company to assess the, what's the word I want?
The health.
The health of the trees on the common,
And
and
make a
give us
recommendation.
a report recommendation.
They may make a recommendation that one or two of them get special fertilizer, some of the other ones get pruned.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of contacting Bartlett, have them come out and take a look at the trees on the common and make a recommendation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
And I think that we need to really mandate that the highway department remove the snow not piled up on the common.
But
Because
also,
of the salt that's used, and then it turns to slush, and they throw it up on the common, and it certainly shows its wear this year. I mean, they used a lot of salt this year, and it all went right on that common.
and also, when Bartlett's there, I'd like to have them take a sample of the soil and tell us what the condition of it is, especially where them trees that are bad. And I know before they did, and they gave us, that's when they told us not to put the salt and snow out on there.
I thought they were hauling it away anyhow, and I should have paid attention last winter, but I didn't have any reason to other than,
I think it happened kind of like,
Well,
it wasn't a drawn out situation. It kind of went on pretty quick. In a couple hours, they had it cleaned up. And
I was gonna say on the church side, they done it on a Saturday morning. Got down with had the backhoe.
There was a special, I guess it won't. There was a special meeting to get the sidewalks cleaned off in front of the pizza house right now, because that had built up to almost 8 feet, because nobody had cleaned that off. And it was piled pretty heavily around the common, and as they kept pushing it onto the common, those, you remember those, curb stones. Yeah, those were getting all smashed up. We had re-rods sticking out of the ground and all that. Anyway, there was a big effort to have that snow removed. But it was a special request, special meeting, you need to go do this. Late this spring, very late this spring.
on a Saturday?
Huh?
They did it on a Saturday?
Over by the church he did, one Saturday morning, I see him down
Is
there.
that overtime?
No, wouldn't be, would it?
No, entirely volunteer.
Anyway, so the only other thing other than the next regular meeting, which will be on August 3rd, the only other thing on the agenda is the municipal tax rate.
Want a break for a minute?
Yes, please. I'd entertain a motion to take at least a 5-minute break.
Oh.
Special ed.
stand
Sure,
up.
blame it on me that it goes to 10 o'clock.
And we're back.
All right, so I believe we have some numbers. Okay, we have partial
We
numbers?
got more numbers. Sure.
No, lots of
We got
numbers.
more numbers. This is your balance sheet as of 11:35 this morning. If you didn't want to see the one at 11:10.
Well, what's that mean? 11:30?
Well, it's been a changing
They're
target.
still
It's
more.
been a changing target after all weekend of dealing with Laurie's numbers. I came in this morning with some problems and we got some of them fixed, but they went the wrong way. So anyway, you can ignore those. But at the bottom of this, the general fund is 4 pages. You got to go to the 4th page. That's the end of the general fund. Then you have the highway funds, excuse me for being on camera, and then you have the equipment fund. You're looking at the fund balance at the bottom, basically. Tells you whether you got a positive number or a negative number. And within, $250,000, this projection of tax rate is right. More or less.
But is this one right? And again,
Yes,
I'm
I've had
I'm
3
not
of them today.
detrimental. I know you've had 3 of them today, so I just,
I gave you $122,000 deficit last week This week, I'm giving you a surplus of approximately, I'd have to add these up because I broke them out for you. There actually is a surplus of tax rate's going down 15 cents. I calculated the surplus in. There is a surplus of 150, I think. Let's see. 867 plus 32,890 equals plus 63,334 equals $150,643 is your surplus. 150,643. As I calculate that, and that is line number 1, 2, 3, plus deficit general fund, 63,334. And then under voted highway, less surplus plus deficit, you have a surplus, so you're deducting it, $246,000 surplus, 867 surplus. And then the equipment fund, you have another deficit. So the deficit on the equipment fund of 32,890 plus the deficit on the general fund side of 63,334. Add those together, subtract it from the 246 surplus in the highway, gives you a net yield of 150,643.
So basically, the answer to your question about the numbers changing, they're still being moved into proper categories.
But the tax rate's not gonna affect
Technically, it shouldn't. I mean, if your surplus is in your deficit, and it has changed, it changes frequently. And it has changed frequently over the last several days, but
The biggest changes came Friday with a representative from Nemrick here who made some substantial numbers. Kathy and I got printouts Saturday morning. I worked them through the weekend, sent everybody an email saying, well, I still got some big questions. And actually, I still have one or two, but I don't think it's going to impact this. I had a number of little questions, which I pretty much got resolved today.
Well, see, this is your, these are your municipal. This is last year. This is this year, and then this is the non-residential. Here and here.
God, I wanna be a non-resident.
Yeah, I know, it'd be nice with it.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we set the tax rate for the total municipal and homestead rate, $2.15.61. And a total municipal non-resident rate of $1.9635.
Second.
I was wishing you were going to reverse those.
I wish we could put it.
Excuse me, is there any
So there's a
discussion?
difference in a resident and a non-resident.
I'm sorry,
It's
who's
almost 20 cents different. You can save 20 cents if you're a non-resident.
So is there any discussion? So Craig, how confident are you that there's nothing major in the background that might impact these?
I'd like somebody to amend the motion pending review of this with Kathy or somebody on the board and the treasurer or something, just to get assurance. You have until Friday to hammer this out. It's a done deal, but if Kathy calls you up tomorrow night and says, whoa, we got new numbers today, then I think you want to have that out to revisit this. I don't want to be, for the third year in a row, responsible for setting a tax rate. This isn't entirely mine. There's a lot of work. But as I say, it was a lot of work to get it to you on Tuesday night last week with some confidence that we had a week to fine tune it. And that was $370,000 difference. from a minus 120 deficit to a plus 150 surplus. So, or whatever that amounts to, whatever that is, I can't even, yeah, 270.
Well, and we certainly can.
That's what, said it,
If it's
Deal
wrong,
with
it's
it,
wrong,
or-
and we'll have to.
deal with it then.
But it costs you $1,500 to send out new tax bills, I mean, if it comes to that, or you go into deficits.
Because that's what we're setting the rate at, and that's what the tax bills are gonna be.
Well, I'm gonna, you
No,
guys have
no,
questions?
This is the discussion, that's fine.
The discussion is, it's a very tight budget to begin with, and it's upside down and it's backwards and it's doing all kinds of funny things, but for the last couple of years, we've been scraping barrels. Last year, you ended up with basically breaking even. This year, last year, 2 years ago, you broke even. This year, you have about 150, which is nothing for a surplus, nothing at all, given all the things that have happened.
Well, then I think congratulations are in order and keeping even with the budget, because that's what you're supposed to do, is to,
But it needs to be tight.
it is tight.
No, he's saying the rate.
The select board budget account, even with sovereign solar payments and all that, is still on the positive side, and the town clerk is on the positive side. Every other department in this town is in negative numbers, big time,
Yep.
for the most part. I mean,
Just, I think that there comes a time, and we're near that time, within a few days, of
Put up or shut up.
we make a decision and live with our decision. That's what I think. I mean, we can go back and crunch and more, and
Well,
that's what I feel. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that Craig, you've worked your tail off, and I understand that. And I know the numbers change, and I know the bookkeeping numbers should, but
the numbers shouldn't
I know
change.
they shouldn't, but they're gonna keep changing. So what are you gonna do Friday? Well, oh, Jesus, I think we need to make our decision. The best of our information, this is the information we have, and that's,
the only other thing I would add to that is I believe the representative from Limerick is slated to come back tomorrow or the day after.
yeah, I told her she could hold up, because what she can do now, she's already done.
Okay, so she can't
Now,
contribute anything more. Okay.
the problems in how things are entered and where they're entered and whether they're all correct. I mean, I'm not gonna go into the weeds.
no, I hear what
Yeah.
you're saying. It's,
Okay.
Okay,
they
the
may
only-
not
the
be in
only-
the-
the
they
only-
may not be in the right slot, they may
Okay.
not, you might find a deficit in, bigger in the highway and lesser somewhere, whatever, but it's,
Obliged to
We're
say
gonna
this, you do have a
live with
surplus.
it. Someone make a
Before
decision.
before you lock it down and eat that surplus or send it back, a lot of that surplus has to do with the compactor. We raised 125, we only spent 6,000 on a compactor, basically 7 maybe. But we owe the townspeople, we raised that for a specific purpose. You owe that back, and a good chunk of this, 115,000 of it, is basically in that compactor. But you do have a surplus, and right now, before you actually vote on it, you have an opportunity, just full disclosure, to set something in reserve if you want.
all right. Now here's, again, was what I was trying to talk about before. If we voted if most of the surplus is supposed to be for the compactor, it should have been in a compactor line up there. Not as money in the bank. It was voted for compactor.
Right.
That's what I was saying about the numbers earlier. We got all of these numbers, Joe gives us you got this much in the bank. Well, we ain't, because 115 of it belongs to the compactor.
Another 115 on
So you
top of
take
this?
another 115 off of the 161, there's 276, there's 276,
You're
which is
almost up
more
to-
than half of what he's got. That's what I was trying to say before. That's why when we have reserves and specific earmark stuff, when Joe gives us a report, we need to know, we need to know how much of that 400 and something's encumbered. And now we're looking at 2/3 of it's encumbered anyhow.
But
So you ain't got it, I mean, because for TV land even, I mean, it gives a whole different perspective. The general public hears Joe say, well, you got $460,000 in the bank. Well, you don't. You only got 1/3 of that. And so we're saying, boy, we're up the creek here, we're fighting financially. And the public's saying, What do they mean? What are they fighting over? They got 460,000 and we don't have. That's where the inaccuracies come.
Oh, I'm well aware.
You know,
I'm
that's
well
what
aware.
I'm saying. So
I'm
the
well aware.
reports need to be streamlined, at least in what we got.
But that 115,000 or whatever you got for the compactor shouldn't come out of the surplus. In other words, that was voted
Into
for
a
a special,
reserve.
special
That's right.
thing.
It's an earmarked
Right.
piece. It's not a surplus. It's a reserve piece.
Right, but you don't want to reserve it, you want to turn it back to the taxpayer. And that's what you're doing right now by applying the surplus toward next year's taxes. If you take that 115 and set it in here, I'll take it off the bottom line, but your taxes are going to 228 from 215.
Yeah.
Or 226 or something like that.
But it's just like in the highway. If you put it up for retreatment, then you can't take it and go out here and buy chloride. You're not supposed to go out here and buy chloride or anything else, because that was set up for a certain thing.
Yeah, they got that.
So the motion on the table says leave the or to set the tax rates as read at 215.61 and 196.35. Do you want to let that stand, or is there some kind of maneuvering that you want done to the books?
Personally, that's my motion. I'll stand behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, I see me in a second.
Okay, any further discussion then?
I still have some questions, but I'm just a member of the public here, sort of. I mean, I do have some questions about the budget and the way it's coming out on the bottom line. But, I mean, since you and I talked whenever it was, Kathy, last Thursday, 2 days after the budget meeting, we were looking at about I was looking at about 215, and that's where it's coming back to. 215, 216. And if that's not a good number, then we're gonna have to tighten the belt this year.
So that's not quite 16 cents reduction from last year.
Well, last year was 231.47,
For
it's
the-
right next to it.
So the residential rate is going down by almost 16 cents.
Right.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, and the
The
non-resident by 18
non-residential, yeah.
or something.
So, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of setting the FY
2015, 2016.
16, the FY 16, yeah. Tax rate at $2.1561 for the homestead municipal rate and, or the homestead and municipal combined rate rather. And 1.9635 for the total municipal and non-residential rate for schools, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. So I'm assuming then you will notify the treasury they need to get their tax bills ordered, which I know they already have.
I will notify the treasurer of same. You got that sheet right there?
Is there?
I would have you say something on camera to the extent that the, if this upside down, I'll just mark it. Yeah, your entire municipal and highway spending is less than 50 cents. And your education spending is $1.65 now.
Oh,
And that
yeah,
includes
yeah,
penalties.
yeah.
That includes penalties.
Yeah, just, again, just
Because
for
of overspending at
for
Liberty.
information, just for information
So
purposes.
people,
Out of that, $2.15 plus cents, 48 cents is municipal and highway.
and
Education is $1.66,
for 300 and something students.
all right, for 300 and plus students. So $1.66 out of the $2.15 is education, 48 cents is infrastructure of the town.
You've just done this every year, I just wanted to keep up with it.
I know it.
Yeah, you do it at town meeting, you do it here.
Well, I know I do it at town meeting and everything else, it just boggles me.
But if people complain about the taxes, they really need to go to the school board
They
meetings.
don't
It's
go to
not-
school board meeting, which is millions and millions of dollars, and they come and they holler about, never mind. But anyhow, 48 cents is for running in the town, and $1.66 is for running the school.
Now, again, with the tax bills going out at the end of the week, they're always looking for volunteers, for people who will come in and stuff envelopes with the, put the tax bills in, get them out on time. So anybody who has some time toward the end of the week, might let Craig and or Anita know so that you can be informed when the tax bills are ready to be folded. All right, is there anything else?
Next meeting is August 3rd, I believe, at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any further discussion on anything? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn
So
at 10
moved.
o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock.
Second, move to something.
All those in favor?
Rich says overtime.